Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Today, we conclude this week's theme of positivity and happiness by looking at the 7 steps that you can take in order to boost your positivity, boost your happiness, just make it easier for you to be happy, be positive. And the good news is they also make you more successful. Welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift from Bigger, Brighter, Bolder. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the motivation, the inspiration, but above all else, as always, to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, do subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. So I hope you've had a good week. It is Friday and I wanted to end this week on the theme of happiness and positivity. I talk about how important it is, why it's so important, not just to your experience of life, but also to your productivity, your performance levels, and ultimately what you're creating in your business in episodes 241 and 242 earlier this week. Today, I want to just give you 7 steps that you can take, 7 things to follow. If you like a user guide for making positivity and happiness just easier for you to attain and hold on to. Number 1, possibility. Exist in possibility. Live in possibility. Where there's possibility, there's hope. Where there's hope, then there's happiness and there's positivity as well. So you want to cultivate, live in, strengthen, surround yourself with the possibility of what it is that you're trying to create. You know, if you lose hope in your business, lose hope of your financial situation, lose hope with the situation of the world, you will automatically go into negativity and you will also go into unhappiness, sadness, misery, despair, anxiety, worry, fear. If you want to be more positive, you have to see the possibility. You have to acknowledge the possibility. And that leads us into number 2, which is very closely associated, which is perspective. Mind and manage your own perspective. Perspective is something that has been greatly lacking in the world this past year, but perspective is what enables you to get a much more balanced view of what is going on in your life, in your business, in yourself. If all you are is focused on the negativity, if all you are is focused on what you haven't got or what you've lost, then that will pull you into that abyss and it will drag you down. And from there, you're on a slippery road into misery, into unhappiness, into negativity, as I keep saying, maybe even into despair. You want to keep yourself well out of that pit. And the way you do that is you have to manage your perspective. How do you see the possibility that's available to you? By altering your perspective. A clear example of this, I say, you look at a reservoir. It's a huge volume, monumental volume of water. All your business is, okay? All you need is 1 teaspoon. That is the equivalent. If that reservoir was the marketplace, the world, the economy, you've got 1 teaspoon. It's not even a teaspoon, let's be honest, but let's call it a teaspoon. You've got 1 teaspoon of that in your business. That's all you need to maintain your business and maintain your lifestyle. So even if I take that massive lake, I take that huge reservoir and drain it 10, 20%, 30% even, it's still a monumental volume of water. And if instead of seeing what's not there, seeing the shrinkage, you still focus on the incredible vast majority of water that is still available and your little tiny teaspoon, you start to realize very quickly that of course you can still get your teaspoon out of that reservoir. And if you can get a teaspoon out of that reservoir, why can't you get a dessert spoon out? And if you can get a little dessert spoon worth of water out of that reservoir, you've now doubled your business. Is it possible to take your teaspoon and turn it into a dessert spoon in the next 12 months? I would say categorically yes. Will you make changes? Maybe. We have to sort out different things and approach things differently. Maybe. However, is it possible to take your business and double it in the next 12 months, even though the reservoir, the marketplace, the economy is shrinking? Of course it is. Just look at it with your own perspective. It has to be possible. But when we get pulled into other people's agendas, when we get pulled into the narrative, we get pulled into the news and everything else we've talked about this week so far, it becomes very hard to see this with a balanced view. All you see is the economy is shrunk. All you see is the marketplace has shrunk. All you see is how hard it's getting out there. And that's not a true picture of what's going on. Yes, there may or may not be less opportunity out there for you right now. However, there is no shortage of possibility out there for you to create what you want to create and increase your business and grow your business. And you do that through altering your perspective. Number 3, stay motivated. It's so important. One of the reasons that I'm bringing this whole week of positivity and happiness to you is super fluffy shit, right? But the reason we're talking about it so in depth is because it's one of the main ingredients that sits behind motivation. When you're positive, when you're happy, you're charged, you're up for it, you're energized, you want to go and do something. When you're negative, in despair, or when you're unhappy, and when there's no hope, you crawl into bed, stay in bed, and don't get out again. So to be motivated, we need to be positive and we need to be happy. But there's more things we can do here as well. We can make sure we're focused on the rewards of our effort, the rewards of our business, the rewards of our lifestyle. We can be grateful for what we have, grateful for the opportunity that has presented itself to us, grateful for the future that we've yet to live into. And if we start to breathe those kind of emotions in us and we start to create that kind of mindset and attitude within us, you can see how that's going to lend itself into being more motivated, more driven, into having more energy, to have more oomph, gumption, to go out there and do what you need to do in the face, potentially, of some adversity that we currently have. So you want to make sure you're completely motivated. Rewards come in many forms. Rewards can be the car, the financial rewards, the material rewards. It can be external rewards. It could be the accolades that other people give you, the acknowledgement from other people, external rewards. And then it can be internal rewards. The internal rewards are feeling pride about what you're doing, feeling good about yourself, feeling good about your business, feeling joy. These are all internal rewards. So we need to make sure that we cultivate all these internal rewards whilst acknowledging these external rewards. And when we do that, we start to tune ourselves into the rewards, and reward focusedness is one of the biggest things for motivation. If you feel that an activity isn't going to give you a result, then evolutionary speaking, of course, your unconscious is going to pull the plug on any energy. When you perceive the action you're taking is getting you these incredible results, then of course your unconscious is going to unlock and release a ton of energy, which you're going to perceive and feel as motivation and drive to go out and do something to make things happen. So cultivate that motivation. It's not an accident. It's not one day you're motivated, the next day you're not motivated. There's reasons behind why that chemistry is flowing through your body at that particular time. We can influence that. We can manipulate that by consciously altering where we're looking, how we're looking, what we're focused on. Again, you can see how this all links together, from the possibility to the perspective to how that also feeds in to our motivation. Number 4, stick to your own agenda. Everyone and everything has its own agenda, whether it's conscious or unconscious. You want to make sure that you are firmly on your path, that you are working towards your goals, and that you're doing what you need to do for you and those people you care about most and your clients and the world around you. You need to make sure that you keep on that agenda. The TV has its own agenda. The news has its own agenda. Social media, it has its own agenda. They want your eyeballs. They want your attention. One of the ways they get your attention and your eyeballs is feeding you negativity. I said on Wednesday in episode 242 that threat and fear were like attracting poles, magnetic poles. They were like moths and flames. So if the flame is the threat, then the fear is the moth. It's drawn to it, not to pull you towards the threat. That doesn't make any sense, does it? But in evolutionary terms, we want to move away from that threat. But the way we manage that threat, protect ourselves from it, is by being drawn and attracted to it, to keep our eyes on it, to be focused on it. Because if I can see the bear, it's much less likely to kill me than if I turn my back on the bear. News gets this, social media gets this, which is why there's so much negativity on those platforms, because it pulls you in. The news has never had the watch rates that it's having right now. They are having a field day in media right now because we are glued to it. Why? Because there's so much negativity, so much pessimism out there. There's so much threat out there that we cannot take our eyes off it, because unconsciously, just like the bear, we feel that if we're not looking at it, if we're not consuming it, if we're not keeping our eyes on it, it's going to get us. And they know that, and they're pulling us in on that. So again, if you haven't listened to the previous 2 episodes, go and listen to those, because I talk in great detail about those things. They have an agenda that is not in your best interest. It's not to inform you, educate you. It's not to give you the news. It's to get your eyeballs on their program. It's to feed you a story, to pull you in, draw you in, get addicted to their product so they can live out and fulfill their agenda, okay? Whether that's viewing figures, obviously turning into financial remuneration. Get yourself on your own agenda. There's other people in your life, right? Your kids, your dog, your cat, your wife, your husband, your friends. They all have their own agendas, but very few of them are setting their goals. So you want to make sure you set your goals, get really clear on what you need to achieve for everyone concerned, and then you need to absolutely protect that and manage that literally almost with your life. So make sure that you set your goals, you're focused on those goals, you're focused on your agenda. Every single day, you do what you need to do to move that agenda forward, because if you put the energy into setting that agenda, that's the agenda that other people should be following. If you've gone to the effort to work out the best way forward through setting your goals in your business, in your personal life, then everybody else should be joining you on that journey, because most people, they do not set their goals like that, if they set any goals at all. And therefore, your goals can be trusted, and therefore you should not be apologetic or ashamed of following your own path through all this. Massively empowering. Of course, it's going to make you feel more positive and strong, and you will be happier as long as you manage anything else that might crop up, like feeling guilty, etc., because you're following your path and maybe not following somebody else's path or doing what they want to do. If you're a bit of a people pleaser like me, then obviously following your own path diligently like that can put certain strains and pressures on you. You must manage those as well. But what you don't want to do is come off your agenda in order to appease other people just so you feel a little bit less discomfort in the moment. It's definitely something you want to work on over time so that you peel yourself away from having to please everybody and you get yourself on your agenda, because you're the best person to be leading your life, your business, and everyone else should be following you, because if you're the one that's setting your goals, setting out your agenda, you're the one with the clear vision, those are more trusted than everyone else is, who is there having an unconscious, derived goal that they haven't even set, they haven't even thought about it. It's just an objective that they're holding on to that they don't even know they're holding on to. Who would you rather follow? I want to follow the person that has well thought out, well planned objectives and outcomes. That's you if you do the work. Set your goals, stick to your agenda. Number 5, play the long game. It might be shit out there right now for you. There may be some unfortunate set of circumstances you're having to deal with right now. All of us are obviously being massively affected in our social lives, and many of us in our business lives right now. This is not about ignoring these things. It's just a greater perspective. Coming back to number 2 there, you lift yourself up like an eagle instead of being on the ground like a snake, looking at every problem right in front of you and saying, this is the next 3 feet, this is the next 6 feet. All I can see is problem, problem, challenge, challenge. Take to the skies, soar like an eagle, see the landscape, play a much, much bigger game, and you'll see the terrain that's before you, and you'll see that this might be difficult now, challenging right now, but this is not everything. This is not forever. This is not all that exists. There's so much more than this moment. There's so much more than this day and this week. And when we take to the skies and we get a greater perspective, keep coming back to that one, you can see much further afield. Play a longer game. You may have had a tough year in 2020. You may have some real challenges in 2021, certainly at the beginning of 2021. That doesn't need to affect where you're going to be in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and certainly not where you're going to be in 10 years from now. Someone asked me not so long ago, they said, are my long-term goals still valid, George? You know, with all this shit, this was going back to about April time. They said, are my long-term goals still valid? I was like, 100%. 100%. I believe, in fact, more than that so much of the good that you're going to have in your life in 5 and 10 years from now, so much of the growth in your business, so much of all the positive things that are in your life 5 to 10 years from now, I believe you're going to come back and realize that so many of them had their inception during 2020 and 2021. I really mean that, because when we're challenged like we've been challenged, you have to dig into yourself. You have to find that fortitude, that strength. You have to have that conditioning in you. You have to do the work we're doing now. You've got to work on your mindset, work on your motivation. You've got to work against adversity. You've got to be creative in business, flexible in business. You've got to take on new technology. You've got to be creative in thinking of new products or new delivery mechanisms and all these things, okay, which you maybe wouldn't have done anyway, are being forced to the surface, and they're challenging, they're uncomfortable, but they mean actually that so much of what's still to come, the good that's still to come, is going to be triggered and created and originated during these challenging years. Number 6, fight harder. This is one of my absolute mantras. I beat my chest over and over again to anyone that will listen to me. Fight harder. Fight for what you want. Fight for your agenda. Fight for the experience of life you want to have. Fight for your goals. Fight for your business. Fight for your clients. Fight for the sale. Go out there and fight. This is not negative fight. This is not fueled by anything other than positivity, right? It's resilience. It's fortitude, tenacity. It's to go out there and make happen. It's creativity. So go out there and fight for it. Absolutely fight. Don't be passive in any of this. Don't sit back and be passive with the economy. Be passive with what's happening in the world around you. Go out there, make stuff happen, be creative, and go out and fight for what it is that you want to have. That is going to make you feel so strong, and it's going to make you happier. When we are out there fighting for our cause, fighting for something, when we're out there working towards something meaningful, and actually, the harder we push ourselves towards those things that are most meaningful for us, the more we feel rewarded. And therefore, going all the way back to number 3, the more motivated that we will be. Go out there and fight. Number 7, be careful who you listen to. Be careful who you allow in your personal space. Be careful who you allow in your home. The TV I described as being an unwelcomed guest in your house that's constantly pumping out negative shit, right? Be careful who you allow in your house. If you let a negative person in your life to consistently be in there, constantly drowning out any positivity, you can see how that would have such a negative, detrimental impact to your positivity and your happiness, and therefore your motivation, your drive, therefore your actions and behaviors, and ultimately what you create over this period. The TV sits in the corner just constantly beaming out messages and messages. Tune it in to the right messages. Go back and listen to 242. I talk about this very specifically in that episode. Listen to the things that are going to enhance your experience of life, create the experience of life you want to have, to trigger you and motivate you in ways to stimulate you to go out and do what you need to do to go and create the business and the life that you want to have. So be careful who you listen to. Be careful of what you consume. Be careful of who you allow in your life. 7 steps there. I do encourage you to apply those in your life, especially if you're feeling down, negative, unhappy, maybe even tripping into despair right now. It's really important to do that. Don't expect yourself to be positive and happy at the click of your fingers. It does take work. That's been a constant theme this week. It does take effort. You can make it happen for yourself. You can make it much easier to be positive and happy by looking at the external environment and what you consume and what you allow in that external environment. And also, of course, what's going on in the internal environment, inside you, in between your ears, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your brain, the perceptions you're having, the thoughts you're having, the constant narrative that you might be having with yourself. Manage that as well on the inside. Start to get yourself saturated, using a term from episode 242, saturated in positivity, saturate yourself in joy and happiness. You'll be happier, you'll have a better quality of life, you'll perform better, you'll be more successful, and you'll be one hell of a lot nicer person to be around. Thank you for listening this week. I hope you've enjoyed our theme. Being happy and being positive is not indulgent. It's the core essence of the quality of life that you want to have. It's the core essence of you being the person you want to be, being productive and being successful. It is definitely worth working at, working for. It's definitely worth bringing that and creating that in yourself and in your life. If you find yourself at a loose end at any point this weekend, you want to go and check out what we're doing at Success Groups, please do head over to Bigger, Brighter, Bolder and just see what we're doing for business owners, whether they're launching their businesses, whether they're 20, 30, 40, 50K and trying to grow their business to 100K plus, or those businesses that are already doing over 100K, some of them doing multiple hundreds, even millions in turnover, and how we're helping them scale those businesses and how we're getting them to create the lifestyles and the quality of life that they want to live. Regardless of where you are in your current entrepreneurial journey, we have groups of ambitious business owners ready to support you, to help you. We have systems and processes involved ready to help you set your goals, stay on your agenda, a positive environment to reinforce all of the messages I'm talking about today, and so many, many more. We expect the best from you, but we also accept the worst. We're forgiving, but we're encouraging, we hold you accountable, and we're sympathetic. It's a beautiful balance. It's a great community of people. If you feel you need that in order to navigate what this year is going to throw at you, then please go and check us out, biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. And if you're ready for a chat, why not reach out to Tracy Miller, my partner in life and in business, Tracy with an E, .Miller at biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. She would love to hear from you. She'd love to speak to you about where you're trying to take your business, where you want to get to, and how we can support you to get there faster and maybe even make it even bigger, brighter and bolder than you can imagine right now. Have an awesome weekend. I will see you on Monday. We'll do it all over again. Until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.